Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Unapologetically Keith on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Facebook Live, Periscope, and YouTube Live, discussing various things that create crisis in our lives. I am Keith. I am your host, Keith K.L. Belvin. I am a crisis specialist. I try the best that I can to address the various issues and the various crisis points that people deal with. And I am here 3 times a week doing the best I can to bring light to those situations and having a conversation. And so I am happy to be here. A little housekeeping. As I said, we're on 3 different platforms: Facebook, Periscope, YouTube Live. So if you're watching on Periscope, make sure that you tap the screen to give some hearts. That lets me know that you enjoy the content. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure that you like and then share. But when you share, drop a little note when you share, because sometimes when we share, people will go, I'll get to it. Let them know why you're sharing, because I believe this information is something that somebody on your timeline is going to need. Hey, Keita, how we doing, Queen? And that leads me to my next point, is that because we're on 3 different platforms, I cannot see who is with me. So the only way that I'll know that you're there is if you pop into the chat room and say hello. If that's all you want to do is just come in and say hello, I will acknowledge you and you can just lay back in the cut and chill. But I would love for you to be part of the conversation, because you guys drive the conversation, because I love what goes on in the chat room. Hey, Sister Tony, how you doing tonight? Great to have you. I know we missed you on Monday. So as you see, I will introduce the folks coming into the chat room who ride out with me. And that is where the magic happens, because if you weren't here on Monday, the guys in the chat room, they were the real stars, because we had a lot of folks who explained and offered their own personal situations with what we're dealing with. And I'll get to the subject matter in a second, but I definitely would love to have you be involved in the chat room. So with that said, we're going to go forward, and we are now doing part 2 of talking about domestic violence. And part 1, we looked at, let me just go back over my notes here. I want to make sure I give this the right thing. We looked at what it is, and we discussed it, and actually we had some folks who we looked at what domestic violence is, and then we looked at the types of domestic violence, because it is extremely, extremely interesting. And also it is something that now, because of this COVID situation, is critical. So with that said, I want to do this because I want to get this information up front, because you never know how long somebody's going to have to be online, especially if they're dealing with somebody who is abusive. So I want to put this up first. I know on Monday I put it up towards the end, but here is the National Domestic Hotline, okay? And here's the website. And as I said to you on Monday, I don't know who watches and who will watch and who's going to get the opportunity to see this video, but your survival requires you to have to move yourself out of that position by asking for help. You don't have to do all of the work. We can get to people, we can find people to help you, but we cannot help you if you don't say anything. So right there, that on the screen right there is a number right there, as well as the website that you can use to help start the process to get you out of that environment that may cause you your life. And I think it's very important, because I don't think folks really understand how prevalent domestic violence is for males and females, mostly females. We seem to live in a male-dominated society, but there are men who are abused also in domestic violence situations, and we need to keep that into consideration. So again, I want to say thank you to everyone that tunes in, everybody that watches on replay. Also, if you come to watch and replay, make sure you type replay in the chat room. That way you're watching on replay, and I will stop back in and offer some type of response. So again, Keita, how we doing tonight? Tony, how we doing tonight? How are you ladies doing tonight? And again, thank you for joining me tonight as we get ready to get started. And I'm on from 9:30 to 10 o'clock every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but I will stay on later if need be, if that's how long it's going to take to cover everything. So this is what we're talking about tonight. What are the roots of domestic violence? Everything has to have a starting point. Now, as a crisis specialist who does family counseling, and I do couples counseling, and I do great to hear. Tony says she's great. And I do couples counseling, and I do singles counseling. I'm here in whatever capacity people need me. Good evening, Kira. Great to have you back again tonight. I'm here in whatever capacity I can be for those that need my help. And I find that we have to look at the starting point of some things because everything has a genesis. And often if we can figure out the genesis, then we can actually start to try to change the direction that some people are going in. Because we know that hurt people. And we know that abused people abuse. And we have to take that into consideration because there's so many people that are walking around in so much pain that they do not understand what to do with it and they don't understand where it came from. So Kira, Tony, Keita, you ready? Throw one in the chat room and tell me if you're ready. And I'm going to put up the first area, the first thing that we're going to discuss tonight, one of the first roots of domestic violence, because we're going to look at, this is the source. We're going to start to look at the source. We're going to try to child abuse, drugs, alcohol. I got you. You cheating on me, Tony. You cheating. Don't you go ahead. You cheating on me. I know that you're studying this on your own. Don't you cheat. But I want you to hold on to that because Tony's got the inside track because I know she was studying it. That's why she didn't join us on Monday. But Tony, you were right. That's number one. Let's look at number one, guys. Number one, childhood experiences. Okay. It is possible an abuser may have witnessed domestic violence during childhood and understood violence as the best way to maintain control within the family. I wasn't able to squeeze everything in, but I wanted to read it out to you. It's possible an abuser may have witnessed domestic violence during his childhood or their childhood. I want to say you don't want to give them a designation because it could be male or female, and understood violence to be the way to maintain control within the family. Now, as a family therapist, and I am with situations right now, it is very difficult for me to get families to understand when there has been an abusive situation to why their children may be acting the way that they're acting. I got you. It's okay, Tony. I love it. Please bring it because we're going to discuss it anyway. So go ahead. I'm not shying you away. This is your subject. You had me bring this up, and I thank you so much for asking me to do this because it has been fascinating reading. And there's just some things I didn't know. So I definitely appreciate you. Appreciate you, sister. So in this case, a lot of family members will go, why are they acting that way? Or why are they doing this? And I try to explain to them that if there's been a situation of abuse, there are so many changes that can go on within a child or within a person when they've been abused that some don't even realize that their brain may have shut off part of the shock. Hey, is that Tony? Tanya? Yes, true. I used to work in the domestic violence and social. Okay, listen, more the merrier. Welcome, Tanya. Great to have you here. And by all means, add your insight into the chat room. I appreciate that because the one thing I do not have, well, I do have an ego, but no, my ego is not such. T to the Y, what's going on, my brother? Oh, well, we got a brother in the house. I know T to the Y is going to show up. Here's the beautiful thing, and this is very important. So let me just say this to Kira, Tanya, Tony, and T to the Y, and Keita. All of you have experiences that when you place your thoughts into the chat room are going to help people that come and see this. There was a lot of conversation on Monday that I know helped people who need this help. I also found out a lot about folks like Michelle gave, and I know Kim have mentioned some things going on with her. So it's very important that as you offer, please offer your insight. I don't want to scare you away, and I don't have any problem with it. Go ahead and put it in the chat room. I will definitely address it because we need to understand that. Childhood experiences. And I just said to you, hurt people, and abuse people, abuse. Because if this is the way that they grew up, if this is what they saw, if this is what they experienced, well, then there is a great chance that they're going to become that. We know that abused children can become abusive adults. Now, my social workers here in the stream and other folks who are working with children, You have seen that when you have aggressive children, all of a sudden when you invite the parents up to talk to them and you see that you have aggressive parents, you can see that that generational curse has been passed on. And often now I spent 22 years in the classroom and as an educator and then as a dean. And as a dean, I was responsible for the discipline inside of school. And I was the one that made sure that teachers were safe, that children were safe, and made sure that you had to interact with parents when there was critical situations. I dealt with rapes. I dealt with assaults, even dealt with one or two murders and a couple other things in that time. And this is what pushed me in the direction. Well, actually, I've always been this person to be here to help people in critical situations. So crisis specialist is not a stretch for me. And when I went back to get my second master's degree, it was because I knew that mental health was the area that I wanted to move into. Now, Tanya says, yes, what is familiar? Yes, because a child is a sponge. And whatever you fill that sponge up, it's going to show itself. So when a child is in an abusive situation, a lot of their, not only besides their innocence being taken, it is what they believe and perceive as the norm. So at this point, this is what they're used to. So when you look at it and it says, if a possible abuser may have witnessed domestic violence, when you start, let's see, T to the Y says, almost definitely. I've seen it in PTA meetings when I've mediated children and parents in principal's office. Yes, thank you. Come on with it, Tanya. Come on with it, T to the Y, because this is what it is. And I know when I've called parents up, I'll have this aggressive child sitting in my office yelling, screaming, cursing. I'm like, calm down. And then the mom busts through the door, the dad busts through the door, and it's a spitting image, just an older version with dirtier words. And I go, okay, but I know how to deal with that. And so what we have to do is understand this, because as parents whose children are going to interact with other children, we need to pay attention to this. As I said, I just had a session tonight where I have some reporting to do. And remember, all of us that work with children, we are mandated reporters. So no matter how much or how uncomfortable that you know it's going to make the parents or whoever you're working with, remember you are a mandated reporter. You must say something, because you are trying to protect other children. By staying quiet and silence with this, you open up the door for this child to continue to abuse others, which in turn is hurting them. And so when we want to try to protect the children, we want to be able to, one, understand that this is one of the roots that a child is dealing with. And this is one of the first roots. This is where the seed is truly planted. And it's hard. And I can tell you as a person who has sat across from children who have been treated in all type of ways, from molestation to physical violence to psychological to sexual, whatever. It is hard because a part of you goes, how could anybody do this to a child? I don't do that anymore. I know that people are going to do this to children. And so it is my job to prepare parents on how to look for it, to be able to beat back the opportunities before these predators get their hands on your children or harm your children or grow up to be a person who feels that the only way to express themselves to the person that they say they love is through, as we talked about on Monday, various ways of abuse: psychological, physical, sexual, emotional, all of that. And yes, Tanya, safety first, always. Always protect the child as well as yourself, without question. You always protect yourself first, but you always want to protect the child. But always protect the victim the best you can. So I don't care if the woman is sitting with you, the male is sitting with you. If they are in danger, protect them. Do the best you can. That's why anybody watching this, let me say this before I go on to number 2. Anybody watching this, and I said this on Monday, and I'll keep saying it throughout the night. If you're watching me and you're in a situation that you can't get out of, reach out. Call that number. Come on my timeline. Come in my inbox. Mr. Keith, I need help. Keith, I need help. And we will, I don't care what state you're in. In every state, there is someone somewhere that can help you get you out of your situation. Do not stay quiet. If you stay quiet, it could kill you, because that person may kill you. And I'm going to drum that home tonight, because I want you to understand this is like, I am so happy that Sister Tony got me. Oh, Tony, I keep saying Sister Tony. Tony actually asked me to do this because it really gave me some renewed motivation. Okay, guys. Number two. Are we ready for number two? Who's with me tonight? I know Tanya's here. I know Tony's here. T to the Y. I know Kira's here. And I know we had Keita, Queen Keita here. So give me a number two if you're ready to move on to number two. I probably could let's see. There we go. There we go. All right. And you guys are searching for that number two on your phone and on your keyboard. Again, we're talking about the roots of domestic violence, with number one being child experiences. You're watching Unapologetically Keith every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9:30 to, well, we're going to probably go to 10:30 tonight, but normally 9:30 to 10 o'clock, depending on the subject matter. And I may switch it just to an hour later on. I'm not sure. Oh, there go to number twos. I appreciate you. Here we go. Thank you so much. All right, we got, okay, now let's move on to number two. Appreciate you guys. And I love the interaction. Believe it or not, I just love seeing, I could just go ahead and put the number two up, but I kind of dig the fact that you guys rock with me. Okay, major life changes. An increased risk of domestic violence may occur during a significant shift in life, such as pregnancy or a family member's illness. The perpetrator may feel left out or neglected and looks to find control in these situations. So a pregnancy, a person may start to abuse their significant other because the person got pregnant and now the attention is not on them. When I read that, I was like, are you kidding me? But then I thought about it. Yes. That all of a sudden now the person can't get attention. Also, now, I read this as well. Men who have children, who date women who do not have children, and then become a couple, the woman can get jealous of the children and not only try to harm the children, but harm the father as a way of taking it out on him that she does not, that these children are not hers, as well as try to harm the mother of these children because she's envious of the fact that these children are not hers. And that goes back to the emotional and psychological part that we talked about on Monday. And this reminds me of a story in Newark, New Jersey. I was teaching 2000, I want to say 2003, 4, or 5. I'm not sure the year. Please forgive me. I'm older now. And the man had said to his girlfriend it wasn't working. He wanted to break up with her. They had been together 7 years. He had a 12-year-old son, and he had told the woman he thought it just wasn't working. He felt that she wasn't paying his son any attention, and he just, this wasn't what he wanted for his son. So he broke over and told her it's not working, explained to her why. Said, I just think right now with his son about to become a teenager, he needs to focus on his son because the energy of the relationship wasn't working. Of course, she begged and pleaded not to break up. He just said, at that point it wasn't working. Okay. Well, she, not taking the breakup well, went to the son's school, signed him out. They had seen him before, took him to an abandoned and beat him senseless. And he happened to be found by somebody that heard him whimpering and took him to the emergency room, and he made a full recovery. But when they arrested this woman, it turns out that she had abused 2 or 3 of her male friends over the years and would move from city to city because she had warrants out because of the abuse. And she not only would harm the person that she was intimate with, she would harm their children. So sometimes you have no idea who you're dealing with. So when I read about the major life changes, and I said, wow, that pregnancy or a family member's illness, the death of a significant family member, death of a mother, death of a father, can trigger a person to take that aggression out on their significant other. So let's see, T to the Y says, also major life changes can be financial. You're not working to work. Put a pin in that, T to the Y, because we're going to get to that. Again, see, this is why when you got solid folks in your chat room, hold on to that. We're going to discuss that in a second. Steal that one. Yes, the child turned out was alive. It could have died, and it was close because if the person hadn't found them, they believe that the child would have perished. If he wasn't found. And T to the Y, hold on to that because you're getting ahead of me. I'm with you. See, we're on the same page. This is why I love my chat. I love the guys in the chat room. You guys are the best. But that's another thing too. Like I'm interested in listening to when the abuse starts. Like these are the roots, but I always, to myself, I always think, why did that man put his hands on that woman? Why did that woman put her hands on that man? And then why did they allow it? And we're going to deal with some of that why people stay on Friday. So Kira says, so many people get into relationships, they want the man or the woman, but not their children. So true, so true. Speak on it, Kira. Tony says, women and men should be careful of what they are bringing in. Without question, let me tell you something. Tiff and I have been together 20 years. We've been married 13. And my kids wasn't around Tiff for 6 months, almost a year, I think. I was with Tiff every other weekend that I wasn't with my kids, and I was with my kids every other weekend, and I would let them know I was dating Tiff, but I didn't never have women around my kids. Well, their mom wasn't too, she was crazy. I ain't gonna lie. But just myself, I was whoring, yes, but I was not bringing anyone around my sons because I always felt that if somebody wanted to try to hurt me, they'd hurt my children. Always. So I always was very careful there. But also, I don't date aggressive women. You put your hands on me. I was brought up in a house full of women. But here's the funny thing is, I've never, ever put my hands on a woman. I was raised, when you have a house full of women around you, aunts, sisters, grandmother. What's going on, Larry? So let me see. Tony says women should be, okay, read that. Kira says you have to be careful when you're dating who you allow to be around your children, without question. Because again, guys, we have to figure out a way that we have to try to weed out people that we know could hurt us. And we definitely don't want anybody to hurt our children. Larry, what's going on, bro? And so it's very, very important. And so when we're dealing with domestic violence, these roots here, and Larry, thank you for joining us. We're talking about the roots of domestic violence. Number one was childhood experiences. And we're on number two, which is major life changes. Please understand that I believe, and this is me, and I could be 100% wrong, and I'm going to ask you social workers and you other folks in the chat room, so help me out here. I believe that the signs of some of the things that you will see when these changes happening are already there, and people are missing it because they haven't put into place a way to be able to uncover those. What do you guys think about that? Do y'all agree, disagree, or because I honestly believe that people are who they are, but people look past it because of what they want. I guess if that makes more sense. Tony says, I'm actually writing 2 books. Why Do We Stay? And Abuse Me No More. With a play on the word no. Okay. If you're looking for a publisher, you already know. Go to my website, bravenpublishing.com. Okay. That was a shameless plug. But Tony, if you need somebody to help you with the publishing, reach out. That is my other job. Yes. My other business is that I am a person that helps people self-publish. So thank you. So Crystal says, so true. Kira says true. Because I believe that. And actually Tiff put me onto that too. Because she was like, Keith, you was dealing with all these crazy women. Why was you already knew. And yes. And men, I don't know why we like crazy. I don't know if it's the sexual part. I don't know what it is, but men like crazy. Don't do it. Don't do it. And ladies too. If that guy shows you that he's crazy early, let it go. Don't date no crazy man. Don't date no crazy woman, because the danger is your life. And I'm joking now, but of course this is not a joking manner. But we sometimes got to bring light to some things to have those conversations. Let's see. Crystal says so true. Kira says so true. T to the Y said absolutely. The signs are always there. He says always. I got you. Okay. Hold that financial one. We're going to get there, Tanya. I got you. You and T to the Y. See, I can't mess with you social workers. Y'all are great. We're going to get to that one in a second. Put a pin in both of those with the finances. We're going to get to that in a second. That's actually coming up. But T to the Y, I think when you said they're always there, I rock with that, but I think sometimes they're hidden. I think sometimes, especially with folks who know what they are, because if you listen to some of the stories, and I've been paying attention to it the last couple of days where I've really been watching video, you'll hear people say everything was wonderful until, like Tanya says, the finances, or someone says, well, his mother died and all of a sudden he started beating me or he started drinking. Like sometimes there's a triggering factor that causes the person, but I believe some of that is already there. I really do. But that's something that each situation is individual, so we'd have to look at it. I just think that that's why these lives are important. Most don't know a plan of action. Very true. But I think we need these are Tony, and I think that's a great point too. I think we need to have these conversations like we're having now. And guys, I'm going to have nights where we go over to Zoom. I know Tony mentioned, I know some other folks mentioned it. I'm going to move you guys over to Zoom at some point so we can have conversations. We can all see each other because I want you guys to be able to see each other and have conversations with each other as well. Because right now it's just one sided. But I am going to move to a couple of Zoom nights so you can guys probably towards the weekend because that's my downtime that I might do one or two Zoom nights for you guys to come. We can all hang out and have these conversations. So let's see. So Tony, I read that. That's why these lives are important. Most don't have a plan of action. Got that. Kira says dating now requires so much. I'm going to need a background check mentally, physically, and spiritually. Some of these folks are crazy. Yes, Kira, you're right. I'm not going to lie. I'm so happy that I'm married because it would be very difficult for someone like me to date because I know I need a lot of attention and stuff like that. And with social media and all this other stuff is kind of crazy and kind of scary. So all you guys that are dating, male or female, please be careful. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Had to turn my fan on here. There we go. I had to turn my fan on because it was a little warm in here. But yeah, I'm going to definitely move you guys to a Zoom room about certain subjects. I think I'm going to because I definitely want to be able to see you guys and be able to interact with you guys. But it'll be more intimate because it's not going to be like this where it's 3 different platforms. I'll put it out and invite folks over, especially when I have the type of folks here in the chat room that we have. I would love to have that professional conversation depending on what the subject might be. Might even be a subject like this since we have so many people. And I know Michelle is not here tonight, but Michelle is doing her thing in South Carolina. And she offered anybody that needs help. She's a survivor as well. And she was able to put it out there about her being a survivor. And that's another thing that I might do is give folks who are survivors an opportunity to come and we'll have that conversation. So hold me to that. And I will definitely set that up because I would definitely love to revisit this, and we're going to. And I want to move you guys over to a Zoom chat room where we can have a more intimate conversation about this subject. So, and I appreciate you saying that there's hot topics. Tony, I appreciate that. Remember, it is your idea, so I got to keep giving you the credit. Okay, guys, as we move on, let's see. Larry said, yes, it is. I heard someone say, if you don't beat me, you don't love me, and crazy, they come with their Larry, if I could tell you how many times I heard someone say a real man puts his hands on a woman, and I'm like, that's not how I was raised, but I have heard many a woman say that if he beats you, he loves you, or he's only hitting you because he loves you. And as crazy as that is, that goes back to the childhood experiences, which was number one, because often they got that from moms or they got that from a wayward dad. But I don't know too many dads who's going to allow some man to be beating on his daughter. But actually, I take that back. I know a few. I don't know a lot, but I know a few. And that goes back to the childhood experiences, is that if that's how they were raised, or if that's how they saw their mom or father get down, it has an effect on how they choose to be in their relationship with their significant other. And then it's like, well, he hasn't put his hands on me. So, and I've heard women say, well, he a punk if he don't put me in my place. What? So he's got to beat you up to show you that he loves you? Okay. Crazy is as crazy does. Okay. Are you guys ready for number 3? Actually, T to the Y and Tanya gave it away a little bit, but tell me if you're ready for number 3. Put a 3 up in the chat room, and I'm going to shout folks out. Shout out to Kira. Shout out to Tony. Shout out to Larry. Shout out to Tanya. Welcome. It's the first time I've seen her here. Shout out to Kira. Shout out to Crystal. Good to see you here, Crystal. T to the Y is here. Keita was here earlier, and I think that is everybody. I think I have everybody, unless I missed anybody. I think that's everybody. Okay, cool. We got everybody. So please put a 3 up in the chat room as we move on. If a man attempts to beat me, Lord knows who he'll be reading about, because I will do my best to lay him to rest. I know that's right. Listen, let me tell you something. And I am a firm believer. If a person puts their hands on you, you have the right to defend yourself. And if defending yourself means you have to put that person to sleep, then you ask the Lord to forgive you, because the Lord would have already knew what the situation was before it happened. because no one has the right. And let me just say this to anybody who may be watching this on replay. I am telling you right now, no man or woman has the right to put their hands on you and then claim that they love you. Love is not supposed to hurt. Love is an action word that shows a person how they truly feel about you in a sense that is so deep that it changes you as a person to the positive, not beat you down into the dirt. God is love. And when you have real love, your whole being changes. Don't ever let somebody reduce that to pain. It is not. The pain of losing love is something different. That's another show for another night. But love is not supposed to hurt. Okay? So anybody watching this, please. And if anybody agrees with me, let me know. Just say yes, 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 because we're going to move on to number 3, because I got social workers in here who already know what's going on, but I got you. All right, T to the Y and Tanya, you were right on point. Economic circumstances, where this is why we're seeing such an increase during COVID. Job loss, housing foreclosure, or debt can increase stress levels at home, which can lead to violence. Financial difficulties can also limit options for survivors to seek safety or escape. Often, women who do not have the financial means to run off are scared into believing, men too, but not as much as so the women. They feel that they can't go anywhere, so they go, I don't have any money, so I'm not going to run off because I don't know how to get away, so they stay and take it. Some men feel that way too, but more so women. And that is also part of the plan of the abuser, is to keep you in a position of feeling that you cannot survive without them. We talked about that on Monday. And it is very important that you understand that, because if you're trying to help somebody, you must convince them. Take that first step. Don't worry about the money. People will give you and your children somewhere to lay your head and a meal to eat. Now, this is where the church is supposed to be at the forefront, but that's my own opinion, and that's going to be another live for the other day. We're going to talk about that in my Bible study group as well. Where is the church during this COVID time? Because these are the things that the church is supposed to be out in front. One, to give you rest, a haven to get away from a problem like this, as well as to make sure that you have protection. So anybody watching this video, please understand, if you believe that finances is the thing that's keeping you from running off, don't do it. Run off tomorrow. And we will get you some help. We'll get things started. Let's see, y'all. I've seen these discussions for a while. However, it was confirmed that in marriage you can be raped. Yes. The thing with that actually has been proven. You can rape your spouse, because a no is a no, whether it's husband and wife, boyfriend or girlfriend. Because a person has a human right that is not removed because they're married. If your husband says no and you take it, that's rape. If your wife says no and you take it, that's rape. You cannot take something from somebody that they do not want to give and say, because I'm their significant other, I'm allowed to do it. Unacceptable, does not happen. Oh yeah. Well, with the church, I'm gonna get to the church too, because that's one of my things, but I'm going to talk about that another day. And actually, I have a Zoom meeting coming up with the members of my Bible study group, the pastors, because I want to get the leaders' position on how they feel where the church should be during COVID and with the racial situation. But I want to stay on topic here. So Tanya and T to the Y, with the finances, what do y'all think? And anybody can respond to this, but I know we got a couple of social workers here. What do we tell folks when the finances are looking as bleak as like it is now with COVID? How do we actually deflect that? I just want to throw that out there, because we also want to start thinking of solutions too. Now, I'm giving you the roots, but I want to start thinking of solutions too. And that's something that we can work on as we go forward. Tanya says, I see it not being addressed. Yes, it's not. I mean, I think once I've always been a person that people turn to when they have problems. So that's not new for me. But once I turned it into my business, once I made it my business, I actually own a company that is designed to be here to help people. And my publishing company was also the same way. I found that people will come up with any excuse in the world not to spend money on helping themselves. I also noticed that I have had women that I'm working with, and then their boyfriends or husband will say, I don't want you to go to counseling or coaching or whatever no more. And they literally say, I can't talk to you no more. And I'll say, are you okay? And I don't hear from him again. And God knows I pray fervently when that happens, because I'm like, did this man now try to harm her? And I watch their Facebook page, or I watch their Instagram. I look to see if there's anything that I can catch up on, because I'm all about helping. I'm not fearful of anybody. But if a person needs help, we got to get them out that situation. Tanya says, options available. I work in public assistance. Yes, Tanya, let me tell you something. In every state, federally and locally, state and federal, there are programs in place, actually more programs for women than there are men. A man has a problem. He might not be able to get as much help as a woman could get. And a woman with a child, oh, can get help. I've seen it firsthand. I had a friend that her daughter at 10 was molested by the man that she was dating. And the sad part was, when I was dropping her off and I seen him one day, I noticed that he wouldn't make eye contact with me. And I was kind of leery, because if my woman was being dropped off by a dude that I didn't know, I'm be like, hey, what's going on? Who are you? And I noticed that he kept his distance. That was the first tip off to me. Tanya says programs available, but it's a considered financial abuse. There you go. And so I said to her, I said, what's up with your boy? She said, he's just, that's the way he is. I said, nah, something ain't right about him. I said, because how come he didn't come over here to meet me? She said, I don't know. I said, you keep an eye on that dude, because I'm not feeling that. My internal radar felt something was wrong. Now, at that time, so we're talking about almost 20, I think I was late 30s. Yeah, I think I was in my late 30s. So it had to be early 90s. So, no, it wasn't early 90s. It was mid 90s. Yeah, mid 90s. So it was almost 20 years ago. So I was in my 30s. And he had to be almost 50. Well, it turns out that he was actually molesting her 10-year-old daughter, and actually got her pregnant. So she had to have a DNC. And I remember the call when she found out. Now, we're still friends to this day. And I always compliment her on how her and her daughter were able to get past all of that. But I remember what that call and what that pain sounded like. And it was because she said, Keith, you saw that and I didn't. Why? And I said, don't beat yourself up, because that's not what you need right now. And I said, it was just things that he did. And so, of course, she roughed herself off, because, again, it was, how did I miss this? And then you molested her daughter. Well, years later, she's doing well. Her daughter's doing well, and they have a grandchild and all of that. But the thing was, she had been molested when she was younger. So her own molestation didn't fine tune her radar to be able to remove the molester from now her daughter. So that's another thing, that when we're talking about domestic violence, when we go back to number one, when we talk about childhood experiences, these are the things that we have to realize, is that all this is connected if we don't pay attention to certain things. I will never blame somebody, but I can say that I did see that. But the pain, I remember the call. I was teaching in Canarsie, Brooklyn, and I had to leave work. I said, I got an emergency. And I remember driving all the way to Queens to pick her up. And I remember just the pain of while we were driving. And it was just, oh. And so for me, I've always been that person that I'm going to be there for who needs me. So finances create this. And this is what we're seeing during COVID, guys. So T to the Y says, for financial circumstances, it's a collaboration with job developers, case managers, and social workers to codify an action plan towards economic stability, but it consists of structured level of trust. Yes, sir. And this is why I wanted you guys as social workers to speak on this, because I want people, when they go back to read the chat, is that I want them to see that they're professionals. I don't hang out with just anybody. I hang out with a lot of folks who have a lot of things to say. And I appreciate you, Ty. I appreciate you, Tanya. I appreciate you, Crystal, Kira, Tony, all of you. Larry, I see you. I appreciate you guys, because, again, hopefully we don't know who's going to, and I know somebody who's watching this, and you don't have to say anything. I understand. He might be sitting right next to you talking about, yo, that man don't know what the F he talking about. I know. It's okay. I know. And we know. When you go to sleep, you start the process to get up out of it. Plan your escape. You got children, plan your escape. Hide those clothes. Have them ready. And when it's time to go, be out. But make that call. Make that call to get up out of there. But yes, let me get that one again. Economic circumstances, job loss, home housing foreclosure. Debt can increase stress level at home, which can lead to violence. Financial difficulties can also limit options for survivors to seek safety or escape. Do not believe that because you don't have any money, you cannot get out of your situation, because you can. You are not going to allow you to stay there and die. That is true. I'm just reading some of the side conversations that guys are having. That is a true statement, because when they interviewed a lot of women who were into exotic dancing and pornography, 80 something percent of them said the reason why they went in this direction is because they had some type of molestation, some type of negative sexual experience when they were younger, which then led them into this direction. I am myself. When I was younger, 14 or 15, I was with two older women, and okay, yeah, I thought it was cute. But even younger than that, because of sexual situations, it moved me into a situation where I was hypersexual, not realizing that because of abuse is why I was out here just trying to do whatever I wanted to do to as many women that I could get my hands on. There is an outcome to all negative experiences. And if somebody's in the home treating you badly and your children are witnessing it, then you could literally be grooming your children to do the same thing that the man or woman is doing to you. Please keep that in mind. And finances cannot be the reason that you allow this to happen. It may be the thing that causes it. Don't get me wrong. It may be the thing that causes it, but we have to be able to fix that. All right? Do not let that dictate everything to you. And I love the fact you guys are talking in the chat room. I love it. Again, thank you for tuning in to Unapologetically Keith every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9:30 to 10 o'clock. But we may go to 10:30 on some nights. And I am a crisis specialist, and we are dealing with a major crisis situation in domestic violence this week. This is part 2, talking about the roots of domestic violence. We dealt with what is domestic violence on Monday, and we will finish up this subject on Friday. But I got a feeling that we're going to continue this conversation in the Zoom room later on, but I will definitely set that up. If you guys are ready for number 4, let me get your attention and put up a number 4 in the chat room, or a yes, to let me know that you're ready. All right, Tony, Kara, Larry, T to the Y, Tanya, Kira. Let me see who I got. Kira. Let me see. I got where's my girl Nikita? And Nikita always pops in and says hi, and then I don't see it. Queen Nikita, I'm gonna need you to be a little more vocal, because I know you got a lot to say, Nikita. All right. I don't know if you're still watching, but Keita definitely be laying out on her page. Up there go the number 4s. Oh, Lisa's here. Hello, Lisa. All right, there we go. Oh, Lisa jumped in. Great to have you. They're getting it in the chat room, Lisa. You're gonna have to catch up. They not playing in the chat room. There we go. There's a number 4. So we're gonna move on to number 4. And let's see, number 4, dealing with the roots of domestic violence. Here we go. All right, where did it go? How come it didn't come up? Oh, there it is. Okay. Number 4 is insecurity. Victims may try to leave the relationship, causing the perpetrator to become more abusive. To maintain control, the abuser may feel abandoned or insecure, creating a greater risk for the abuse for the victim. Now, let me read that again. Insecurity. Victim may try to leave the relationship, causing the perpetrator to become more abusive. To maintain control, the abuser may feel abandoned or insecure, creating a greater risk for abuse for the victim. So I know that it may seem like their insecurity may be a reason to not leave. Don't do that. They're going to beat you regardless. But you leaving, or you telling them they're going to leave, may cause them to be insecure, which may cause them to try to harm you, or even worse, kill you and then themselves. So here's my thing, and I say this to anybody that I'm trying to help get out of the situation. Don't say nothing until it's time to go. Pack up and go. Get up out of there first. You can have any conversation that you want from somewhere else. Don't tell that person, I'm going to leave you, and you don't have any plans on going until 2-3 weeks. You may be dead in that time, male or female, but mostly females. Don't tell that man you leaving and you ain't ready to go. Because now if he gets all messed up or he starts thinking if she go out here, she going to tell and I'm going to go to jail. So he may start figuring it's better off just to kill you, him, the kids, and the dog. Don't do it. You don't leave until it's time to go. Plan. Make sure every part of your plan has been talked about. Make sure that you have somebody that you can call that's going to keep your privacy. And that's not your girlfriend. It's not your mama. It's not your friend from school, unless your friend from school understand how this is supposed to work. Don't give everybody your plans on what's going on, because all he has to do is get a whiff that you are trying to get up out of there and his insecurities kick in. And again, like I said to you, he may decide to beat you worse than he's ever beat you before. And his hope is that if he beats you enough, you will give in completely. We talked about that on Monday. He will try to put you in a situation where you literally give up your free will. We talked about that on Monday when we were discussing what domestic violence is. That a person is literally trying to steal your soul from you and put you in a position that you believe that he is all that there is in this world for you, which we know is a lie. God did not create you to be beholden to no person. And you have to trust me on that. And that's why I said to you, whoever's watching this, I understand what you might be going through. Believe it or not, we got people in this chat room right now and other people who will come because they weren't able to get here tonight, but they were here on Monday. If you read Monday's chat and you read tonight's chat, you will see that there are people out here who have experienced what you've experienced and who are willing to get through this with you, because they're going to show you and explain to you that they're survivors as well. Every survivor that's in my chat room here is because they made the steps to get up out of this situation. And that's the blessing of this whole conversation, is that we have folks here in the chat room on Monday and the chat room tonight that are willing to let you know what they do. And how many of you have seen that insecure male or female? I know we all have. Put a 1 in the chat room if you've seen that insecure person, maybe even dated that insecure person, where you already knew what this was going to be. I have seen it. I have seen, yes, Lord. Crystal said, yes, Lord. Listen, I have seen it, and it ain't pretty. Wow. I'm just reading what Tony, and let me tell y'all something. Y'all making me want to jump off and get in the chat room, because Tony and Larry is having a whole conversation. I am not mad at y'all. I am digging that. I see the yeses. I see the ones. T to the Y says, I also noticed posting indirect memes on social media will amplify the abuse. I noticed that when people, especially under 20-year-olds, tell everything on social media and that abuse take advantage. I agree with everything that you say, Ty, except for under 20, take that out. There are old heads out here, 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old that's out here using social media to send subliminal messages and hyping up things and then going home and beating their partners. You got grown men out here, 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, don't like what their woman posted on social media, going home and knocking them out. You got women out here reading that he double tapped on Instagram and they home trying to cut them to shreds or pour acid on them. So I agree with everything there, but take out the 20. Younger folks are using social media maybe a lot more, but older folks, ain't nobody seem to be out here trying to court no more. Everybody's out here now and they on some type of social media platform and they're allowing it to dictate a lot of what they do. I noticed that a lot of people don't even want to pick up the phone and have a phone conversation anymore. Everybody wants to talk via messenger. And I simply say, call me. I still know how to use the English language. I'm not caught up into feeling that I got to be in my DMs all the time. You know what I'm talking about. Using social media as therapy sessions. And it's okay if you want to use it for a therapy session if you're actually speaking to a therapist, Crystal. See, if you using it as a therapy session, if you're on with your girls talking about how that ain't SHIT, well, that's different. But if you're reaching out to have a conversation with me, I'm going to eventually move you from social media to have that conversation because we need to have it. But you got a lot of folks who are just airing out dirt. I watch some of these videos, and it is sad the mental state that some people are in, and then they're in relationships. Like I just watched the video, and I don't know if it's fake. I stopped trying to figure it out because I just leave a lot of fools alone. He's videotaping himself give his woman the paperwork that his daughter of 3 years is not his, so he had a DNA test. Okay, let me explain to you how messy that is. Okay, you found out she's not your daughter. So you now had to put the mom on blast because she cheated on you. You already have the evidence. Why the overkill? Because now it ain't good enough just to find out that you was done wrong. You want her to hurt as much as you are. First of all, what about the child that's now going to lose the only father that she know? But you so worried about you cheating. I got that. So what are you going to do? So this is what we do. And this is where we're at, that we seem to want to add social media to whatever we do. And it's out of control because now, instead of just the good things, we got to deal with the trash too. And this is how domestic violence has a whole pool to swim in. Look at some of the, I've watched guys videotape themselves to go beat their woman. Was you with that dude? Pow, pow, pow. Well, who's holding the camera? I see the chick going, why he sleeping? Oh, was you with that bitch? And they jumping on the bed. Who's holding the camera? And we're cheering this on. So we talked about that on Monday, guys. Social media is part of media abuse. We talked about social media, digital abuse is actually what it's called. It is the misuse of digital things. I'm sorry, I hate that I'm missing my words tonight, but digital platforms, excuse me, to enhance the opportunity to abuse your significant other. But putting up a GPS in there, a tracker in their car so you can know where they went, or always checking their phones and checking their passwords and following on social media. Some people are just attention seekers and they actually live out their lives, of course, because it allows you to do that. Social media allows people to become whoever they want to be from sitting right here in their home. So now if you're an abuser, oh my God, this opens up the door. Cyberbullying is another one that has come about, which I had to deal with those 20 something years in school. And then trying to explain to parents that it's real. They would just say, oh, listen, just tell them to log off. No. Do you know how many fights start where they amp it up on social media and then bring it into the schools and then look to harm each other? I actually had 5 kids who they gave me their passwords so I could monitor during the school day who was on social media during the day. So they used to always wonder, yo, Mr. B, how you always know what's going on? And how'd you get that? How'd you get this? Now, I never let them know that I had some of the worst kids and some of the best kids gave me access to their social media page. I talked to their parents first. And that's how I was in on everything. So I would see the fight at the Chinese restaurant and I would be here and the kids couldn't figure it out because to do my job, I had to be on top of the social media thing because if I'm going to protect the school and the teachers and the kids and the parents, I got to know what's happening in these streets. And everything is on social media. So you may go, what does all this have to do with domestic violence? Because it amplifies the opportunity at domestic violence when you have somebody that's insecure. So let's go over all 4 again. We got about 7-8 minutes. There's something else I want to share with you. And again, anybody watching this, again, I want to say to you, please take that first step. As you see from the chat room, there's plenty of information out there. There's plenty of people that's willing to help you, but it cannot happen if you don't say nothing. A closed mouth will be a dead person. Please keep that in mind. A closed mouth can turn into a dead person because they cannot help you if you don't say nothing. Stop telling people that black guy came because you backed into a door or some foolishness like that. Tell the truth and somebody's here to help you. So let's go back through them real quick. You guys ready? Okay, let's go back through them real quick. Number 1, the roots of domestic violence. Number 1, childhood experiences. It is. I'm not going to read them all. I'm just going to give them to you. Number 2, major life changes. Number 3, economic circumstances. Money ain't there. Person starts getting the swinging. And the last one is insecurity. All right, these are the 4. Now I got one other caption I want to give you before I shut it down tonight. Hold on a second. This is something that I found in my research from the BBC. Okay, so the BBC mentioned this, and I just thought I'd share it tonight, right? So this is not just in the United States. I want to show you around the world. It is thought cases have increased by 20% during the lockdown as many people as trapped home with their abusers. That is globally. That automatically think how many people are being abused in domestic violence situations, right? Think about it. And then all of a sudden now that's increased by 20% around the world. Now, let's do this. Let's put the math together. We know that we have more cases of corona here. The worst to me is the emotional and spiritual beating. Yes. And you know what, Crystal? They're all on the same level because emotional and spiritual beatings can hurt just as bad as the physical. When you want to steal somebody's soul, and I talked about that on Monday, because the emotional and the psychological abuse is literally a person trying to break you down to your soul to have you believe that you are their slave to do whatever they choose to do to you. And that's so not true. So thank you for sharing that, Crystal, is that it is bad, but they're all bad. When you put your hands on anybody, when you psychologically abuse someone, when you break someone's will, that's the type of stuff that they did to slaves to get them not to run off. Sometimes there's no recovery from that for some people. Stockholm syndrome, where the person who is being abused falls in love with the abuser and says, listen, one of my favorite movies, and probably one of yours, Color Purple. Remember, Celie got cool with Mister. She started to care about Mister because remember, when Suge Avery was coming back, they went into bed like everything was cool. This man had been abusing her since she was a child. And she was okay. It took Suge Avery coming back, getting married, and growing a little more mature to say, man, listen, we got to get up with us. And even then, he didn't want to let her go. And of course, the famous scene, until you do right by me. We know the famous Whoopi Two Fingers, till you do right by me, one of the greatest scenes in movie history. That, and when she pulls the knife and puts it at his throat, and Oprah Winfrey in some outstanding acting. Don't do it. Don't do it, Miss Celie. Don't do it. Don't trade places. Let me stop. That's one of my favorite movies, boy. That's what that dinner scene where Adolph Caesar said, boy, you gonna let this nappy-headed gal cuss you out at the head of your own dinner table? Messing up your mental gives the abuser control. Yes. It is a big topic, Larry. Y'all have to excuse me. And the only reason why I'm not finding humor in this, I find humor in dealing with the seriousness in terms of the pain that this can create. But Color Purple is a fantastic movie when looking at abuse, because there's so many levels of abuse that can be discussed. And I have on SoundCloud, I have a sermon that I did called the Miss Celie Factor, how you could be in a church full of people celebrating and you see her clapping her hands and she's so unhappy. And many of us are like that today. If you go to SoundCloud and look up Keith Belvin, Keith KL Belvin, I think, or KL the writer, you look up Keith Belvin or KL Belvin, you'll see it. It's called the Miss Celie Factor. Until you do right by me, everything that you gonna do gonna fail. That's right. She said, that's right. I'm here. And I may be ugly. And I may be black. But I'm here. Oh, my girl, Miss Celie. But yes, that movie deals with abuse on so many levels. And there's so, like, I used to use movies to teach in the classroom. And any of my former students can tell you, it is one of the best ways to keep kids' attention. Burning Bed is another one. Oh, you going back now, Tanya. You showing your age now, Tanya. You don't know about Burning Bed, where she had my man locked up, was like, I ain't going to just take all this. Burning Bed shook a lot of people up. Abusing yourself is the worst. Yes. Well, actually, that's what happens, Larry. A lot of folks, a lot of people who are domestic violence abusers are people who have suffered abuse themselves. But wow, Burning Bed. Oh, yeah. Burning Bed is another one. And there's quite a few. I mean, the Tyler Perry movie where Blair Underwood was roughing all his wife, and there's a lot. But you know, Ike Turner. But Sleeping with the Enemy is still one of the better ones. For Colored Girls, another one. Yes, there's tons. But Sleeping with the Enemy. Two things with that movie. Now, I don't advocate shooting anybody, and I don't want to give it away. But she created a plan. And if you ever want to just show somebody how to go about it, the first 20 minutes of of sleeping with the enemy is what you really should show, and then turn it off. Because the rest you don't need, and you definitely don't want to give anybody any ideas about the end because you don't want to be accessory to nothing. But the first 20, 25 minutes, it is a way to be able to say she planned her escape down to the lamp, so she knew what light to be able to lead back to the house. All that is what you can show somebody to be able to say, look, she was able to get herself out of that environment. And I'm glad you guys are sharing the numbers and stuff like that. I appreciate that. Let me put that up on the screen for my New York folks. And this is what I mean by there's always information out there. Let me put that, Tanya. I got you. It is. Okay, why is it not showing? Okay. I was trying to show what is going on here because Tanya put up a number. I wanted to get all my New York folks. I wanted to have that in there. Okay, there it is. For New York City folks, there you go. That's the domestic violence hotline. And there's one in every state, guys. Every state, there is a hotline. And that's why I said, anybody watching, do not think that there is no help for you. There is help. If you're not sure, reach out. I will make sure I make a call or two for you, because this is what it is. We cannot have you in a situation where you're getting abused. And I want to say this too, guys. Let me congratulate all of you here. That is for you. We have reached 100 messages today. Look at that. Again, 2 days in a row, we got 100 messages on Monday. Give yourselves a hand. All right, you can put some emojis up. Choose any emoji that you want in the chat room. Let me just say thank you. You guys reached 100 messages again. Let me shout out. Let me see. We got Tanya, Tony, Kira, Larry, Lisa, Crystal. I see you. Let me see. T to the Y. We got Nikita was here earlier. Then I think, is that everybody? I think I got everybody, but y'all not playing tonight. We reached 100 messages again. So give yourself a round of applause. Okay, so as always, let me do this before I go. 2 things I want to do. And I saw Tony, I think it was Tony, or I saw Tony, I think, put it up. But let me put this up one more time. This is the local number. This is the national number. Again, this is to get help. If you need help, there's the number right there. Oh, where'd it go? Okay, there we go. If you need help, there it is right there. I just put it back up on the screen. Now, I want you to take that National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-7233, or thehotline.org, www.thehotline.org. Okay, so before I get ready to go, because we're about 2 minutes over the time that I wanted to be, I knew we'd be more than an hour. All right, here we go. Guys, if you need, and please share this with me. Hey, Michelle. Oh, Michelle, they was going in today. We missed you, darling. You're going to have to read all those messages. It's well over 100. But they picked up the pace that you set. You set the bar high, Michelle. They picked it up for you tonight. But welcome. Michelle Green is from South Carolina, and she's also somebody else that actually helps out with women that are in a situation. She's also a survivor, and she's also my friend. And shout out to all of you. I appreciate all of you in the chat room tonight. But here's the thing, guys. I want you to share this with anybody who needs it. This is my information. To reach me, to set up a free call, it is free. Reach out, free call, bit.ly/Coach Keith. That is the way to reach me. Set up a free call, and we will sit down and figure it out. I do personal counseling. I do couples counseling. I do family therapy because I work with children. Do not hesitate to reach out. If you are in crisis or you are in pain, reach out. I will figure out a way to help you. I will not hurt you. If I cannot help you, I will step off and say I cannot, and we will find you somebody who can help you. If you look at this chat room, you have Sister Tony who says she's writing books, Michelle who does this for a living, Larry who works with people, Kira who works with people, Tanya who works with people, T to the Y who works with people. We got it all in here going on tonight. Kim, Lisa who works with people. I remember she reached out the other day. She's dealing with folks with grief. So we got Crystal who works with people. Crystal says she was trying to run for office. So I'm not messing with Crystal. I believe, Crystal, if you're in South Carolina, I want you to hook up with Michelle, because Michelle Green is in South Carolina too. So Crystal, I believe you're in South Carolina. There we go. Thank you. You're already on top of it, because Crystal's in South Carolina now. And thank you so much. I appreciate you guys for sharing that out. Now, here we go. Before we go, you should have liked this by now. You should have shared this by now. And when you share it, drop a little note. Let folks know why they need to check it out. I'm here for them. All right. This is what I do. And I just want to say thank you, guys. I'm super excited. We're going to do this again on Friday, and we're going to close it out. I already have my notes and everything ready. So we're going to actually go through it, and we're going to actually look at, oh, where's my other page here? Okay. We're looking at the actions that are considered domestic violence. And then we're also going to talk about why doesn't the victim leave? So we're going to look at what actions are considered domestic violence, and we're going to look at why doesn't a victim just leave her abuser. So we're going to actually talk about why victims don't leave. And we're going to actually look at is what actions are considered, because some people don't know. And I am so glad to see you guys hooking up and connecting. Keep those chats going. All right. But again, I have to get ready to go because I have to get ready to prepare for my mentoring class tomorrow at the detention center. I do an online mentoring program for the young men there. I got to write up my lesson for tomorrow. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about. I have to see. But again, guys, it has been a blessing. I thank you. But let me just say this before I go. And you guys know what I'm going to say, but if you don't, I believe, let me just make sure it comes up here on the screen. There we go. I believe that God has given us everything that we need to fix the problems that are going on in the world. I believe that God has given us all enough talents that we can fix everything, even this COVID situation we can fix if we would just rely on each other. So the reason why I believe that is because of believing that is why I came up with the hashtag We Can Fix This. Because I honestly believe that if you and me come together to fix what we need to fix, we can fix everything. Hence, we can fix this. And I really want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. I've been showing up because I want to be here. I want folks to know that I am a resource and that I'm not just here for no reason. This is my business. This is what I do from day to day. You guys keep it going in the chat room. I probably will jump on later on, but I want to say thank you to everybody. Again, let me give a last shout out. Michelle, thank you for getting here. You got here when you needed to be here. Tony, thank you so much for asking me to consider this situation, this conversation. And anybody else that has any ideas, definitely hit me up in the chat room and hit me up in the inbox. Kira, thank you as always for being a daily supporter. I appreciate you. Crystal, as always, love, you know, I'm always here for you, and I always appreciate your support and your love. T to the Y, my brother, I appreciate you. Larry, Trini, you know, I love you, bro. Tanya, great to have you here tonight. I hope that we get to see you again. I hope this is not your last time. Lisa, it's great to have you back. I hope to see you again too, guys. I hope to see all of you. And look, let's see. Let me see. And Nikita, who pops in and then drops out, I want to see Nikita be more active because on her page, she's very vocal. I'm going to have to talk to Queen Nikita and see if I can get her to get into this conversation because she's got a lot to bring to the table as well. So, guys, thank you so much. And Tanya, definitely thank you. No, I appreciate you. You brought a lot to the table tonight. Lisa, you brought a lot to the table. Crystal, you brought, and I see Larry is not playing over there. That's my man, Trini, right there. Oh, guys, let me tell you something real quick off the subject. If you're in New York City, check out Larry Cortez. There is nothing Larry can't fix or create for your house. And I know it's off the subject, but I would be amiss if I didn't explain what my man does. Larry is gifted. Anything that you need repaired, restored, built around your house, anything like that, reach out to Larry. Tell him what you want. He'll explain it to you. He's reasonable. He can redo your whole house if you need him to. He's right there in Brooklyn. He carts back and forth from Brooklyn to the Poconos. Make sure you check my man Larry out because I love to support my brothers and sisters. We have T to the Y, who's a social worker. Tanya's a social worker. Tony is writing a couple of books. Michelle is working with the brothers and sisters in South Carolina. Crystal's working with the brothers and sisters in South Carolina. She was out there protesting. She actually got to deal with some of these negative police out here, the way they were treating with folks. And so it gave her motivation to change the lives of folks. So everybody here in this chat room is doing something. So you who's watching, do not feel that you are alone. Just look at the chat room. Don't worry about what you hear me saying. Look at the people in the chat room. You got help if you want it, but it starts with one step. Take that one step and get yourself out of the situation that you're in. All right, guys, have a good night tonight. God bless. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much for the support. See you on Friday, 9:30. We start on time.